Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in to today's live video. I'm so excited to be here with you, and I feel really like I'm excited about our topic today. Like stopping sabotage, stopping the sabotage cycle, getting out of your own way. If you find that you get stuck in your own sabotage pattern, then this is the video for you. Whether your sabotage pattern is with food, or whether it's with one of the other addictive patterns, or just with one of those, patterns like people pleasing or overgiving, or hey, the addiction to being busy. Just stick around, because today we are diving into 4 things that you have got to do in order to really blast beyond whatever sabotage pattern's coming up for you. So I'm Debbie Lichter, founder of Freedom Embodied Academy, and this topic just excites me so much because I feel like, when I'm working with the ladies in the Freedom Embodied Academy, I talk about every single thing in your life is a launching pad or an access point for what's next. Like every single thing. We have this tendency to be like, oh, I'm good or I'm bad, or I'm, all or nothing, or I'm doing it or I'm not doing it, or I'm on the wagon or I'm off the wagon, or, we kind of have this tendency to see things in this really linear, all or nothing, black or white kind of context. And what I really see is every single moment, every single situation is an opportunity, it's an access point for you to really catapult into a new level of freedom. And so I want to go into today what it actually takes to really, really do that. And as I start this conversation, I want to find out from you, what is your number one sabotage pattern? What do you sabotage with? Do you sabotage with food? Do you sabotage with, hey, Colleen, do you sabotage with people pleasing? Do you sabotage with being so busy, putting everyone else's needs before your own, and then feeling exhausted all the time? Like, what is your main sabotage pattern? Is it the, like, I'm doing so well with food, and then all of a sudden it's like, screw it, I just want to have what I want to have? This is so important, because if you've heard past videos of mine when I talk about sabotage, I'm usually referring to like the top 3 sabotage voices that I hear so consistently from people who struggle with addictions, like food addictions and other addictions like that. And so, what we're going to be talking about, we're going to be really, really honing in on, the screw it sabotage voice, totally. We're going to be honing in on one of those. So I just want to very, very briefly just mention the other 2. We have the rebellious sabotage voice. That's the sabotage pattern of like the screw it, the I want what I want, the I don't care, I deserve this, I've had such a long day, or, I've been dealing with all of you, or I've been so good, or I worked out today, whatever the thing is. And we have this justification, this rebelliousness to have what we feel like we want. So that's the rebellious voice. We have the resigned voice, which pretty much says, nothing's ever going to change. It's always going to be like this. Freedom's not actually possible for me. So it's kind of like getting a case of the whatevers or a case of the F-its. It's like, it's kind of that resigned voice. So those are 2 of the other voices we're not going to go into today. What we're going to be focusing on is the third voice, And that third voice is the voice, it's what comes up when we are on the brink of a breakthrough. When we are on the brink of a breakthrough, here's how sabotage typically works, okay? Sabotage typically works when you are actually on a good run, right? Things are actually going well, and then all of a sudden you sort of sabotage and you go back to an old pattern, right? I mean, that's usually what happens. People are like, I was doing so well, it came out of the blue, I had, I was sticking to the thing, or, life was going well, or things were working out, or whatever, and then I don't know why I did this, I'm just kicking myself, It usually happens when we're on a good run. Would you agree? And so here's the thing, is that what we have to get is that there is a very specific reason for this. So this goes into the first of the 4 things I want to talk about with you today. And the first of the 4 things is recognizing that we are actually living in our own little paradigm. that we are living in our familiarity zone, that we are living in what I call the known world, our known world of how it is, of what it's like, of what we think we know, of what we think other people know, of what we think we need. Like, we're living in our own reality. I relate to this so much when I think about when I, for the years and years as a health and fitness expert, when I was trying to really get, some freedom around my relationship with food. Well, at the time, I'm like, I just want to get things under control. I want to lose the weight. I want to get things under control. I want to stop being so crazy, stop being so obsessed. I just want to feel okay. That's really where I was for a long, long time. And what I didn't even realize was that I was like living in this world where I had all these tools and all these strategies and all this knowledge of what I knew I was supposed to do, right? And I was just perpetually doing that, and then perpetually getting stuck, and then feeling frustrated and feeling guilty and feeling like I'm just lazy, or I just can't get it, or I just wasn't trying hard enough, or I'm just not committed, or it's just that this thing with work needs to just kind of settle down, or this thing in the family needs to settle down, or this thing with my partner needs to settle down. And then as soon as that happens, I'll be able to get back on the wagon and figure it out and have better control. And it was this ongoing thing. Hey, Ian, so good to see you. It was this ongoing thing. And what I didn't even realize is that I was living in this world. This was my known world. So the first thing that you need to do is recognize, sister, brother, you're living in a paradigm. And I know that for you, just like for me, every single one of us just sees our world as our reality. Like, we don't realize we're living in delusion. For us, it's just our reality. And so the way that we see things, the way that we perceive ourselves, the way that we perceive life, the way that we perceive others, what we think that we know or what we think we need, all that stuff is just coming from like our known world, our known reality, our paradigm that we're in, the mental construct that has formed as a result of this paradigm that we're in. That's number one. It's super, super important, because number two is to realize that your way, that whatever you're doing in your known world, if you are continuously sabotaging, if you feel like you're constantly getting stuck, then it's not working. It's not working. And so number two is to recognize that whatever your pattern is, it's not happening. It is not working, and you need to find a new solution. Whatever strategy, whatever tools, whatever know-how, whatever knowledge, whatever reason brought you to where you are right now, if you're continuously getting stuck and getting in that sabotage pattern, then it follows that whatever the status quo is, it needs to shift. It needs to shift. This happened for me. I mean, when it came to my relationship with food, like I really got to a place where I really did have to get honest with myself. Like, the way I'm being with food just isn't working. And I have tons of knowledge. I'm a wellness expert. I mean, I'm a health and fitness expert. Like, I have knowledge coming out of my ears, right, Colleen? Knowledge coming out of our ears. But something's not working, because I get a few good days. This is what would happen for me. I remember, this happened with a few different things, with peanut butter and, like ice cream. It's happened with lots of different things, but, I'll give you the example of chocolate, because I just remember it so clearly. Like, for me, chocolate was like, I could not just have a bite. I couldn't just be like, oh, I'm just gonna have a little square, I'm just gonna put it away and forget about it. It's gonna be in the fridge, or or the freezer, or the cupboard, or whatever it is. Like, I couldn't do that. Couldn't do it. And so what would happen for me is that I would have a little bit, and then like later on that day I'd want a little bit more, and then I would like finish a bar in a day, like easy in a sitting, in a day, go through half of it, then go through the other half. Like, that was just how it worked out for me. And so when I was like being good and like, okay, I'm gonna be good and I'm gonna stick to a plan, I'm gonna eat real clean, I'm gonna do all this stuff, like I would swear off chocolate. Like, I'm not gonna go to the store, I'm not gonna buy that bar. If I don't have it in the house, I won't have, blah, blah, blah. And then I would get like 2 or 3 days in. And then I would want to reward myself with chocolate for being so good for not having chocolate. Do you ever do that? You want to reward yourself for the very thing that you're trying to be good and not have? This is what would happen for me every couple of days. I would go back and I'm like, well, it's just a bar. Well, it's just, it's just tortilla chips. Totally. Oh my gosh. So yeah, well, it's just a few chips. I mean, come on, it's just a bag, whatever. And this was this was the clincher. You're obsessing about it so much, you should probably just go and have it, and then you'll stop obsessing. Do you ever do that? Then you'll just stop obsessing. So that's what I would do. And it would just be this continual thing. And then the guilt would set in, right? The guilt, the remorse, the why'd you do that, feeling gross, feeling fat, feeling unattractive, feeling, just all the things. And then it was then this part of me, it was like a visceral feeling of control, rigidity, get your crap together, Deb. It was just this stomach in knots, feeling so disgusted with myself, wanting to just terrorize myself, rip myself apart in my mind to scare me into, compliance. I was constantly trying to, if I'm mean enough to myself in my head, then maybe I will finally comply and stop being so lazy, be more committed, whatever it was. And this was the thing. And so relate, Kate. Oh my gosh. I mean, I'm so glad that you relate, because if you relate to the problem, it means you're going to relate to the solution. So I'm so glad. And I'm so glad that you're in the academy and that we're going to have a chance to get you free of this pattern and all this stuff. But yes, just one piece of chocolate leads to more, right? In California, I'm not sure if they have this brand nationwide or beyond California or even Southern California, but there's this brand called C's Candy, C's Chocolates, okay? And during the holidays, they give this box away of nuts and chews. It's chocolate, dark chocolate, milk chocolate with nuts and with all these yummy middles and stuff. I finished, I mean, it's two levels of probably 24 to 48 different, I don't even know, different chocolates, right? Those chocolates like this. I couldn't stop. And what I would do is I would start to cut the chocolates in half and eat half of every single chocolate. I mean, I don't even know. It was sickening. It was sickening, but I couldn't not do it. Anyway, so if you relate to that or the tortilla chips, totally get it. You've got to recognize that whatever strategy you're using, whatever approach you're using, whatever your way is, whatever you think I know what to do and I'm just not doing it, it's not working. It's not working. That is number 2. Number 3, so big. This is so big. Ready? Ready for it? Number 3 is to learn how to catapult, to launch, to take a quantum leap beyond your sabotage threshold. Your sabotage threshold, because just like we said, right? I get a few good days, I get a few good weeks, I'm doing well, I'm sticking to the plan, life is good, I'm feeling good, I feel like I finally beat the thing, whatever the thing is. And then somehow we hit that threshold and then we're back in the pattern. And so you need to learn how to blast beyond that sabotage pattern. And I want to give you a great big huge tip that I feel like I talk about all the time, but I can never talk about enough, because every single day provides us new access points and launching pads to be able to apply this very thing. And that is this. If you want to blast beyond your current paradigm, if you're like, Deb, I recognize it. I'm living in my known world. I'm living in my familiarity zone. I know people call it a comfort zone. I call it a convenience zone. There's nothing comfortable about being in your familiarity zone. It might feel like it's safer and a little bit easier, but it's the short-term ease and comfort for the long-term discomfort, and I know you know what I'm talking about. And so if you're like, I want to blast beyond that, I just don't know how. I want to give you, actually, I'm going to give you 2 tips. Okay. The first tip And sorry, brothers and sisters, I am sorry when I say this, okay? Because I know that this is a hard one. You gotta give up control. You do. You've got to give up control. You've got to give up, not even control, you've got to give up the trying to gain control, the illusion that you have control, the illusion that you're losing control, and the illusion that you can actually get it back. Like anything having to do in that entire realm, that is all a part of your current paradigm. If you are continuously trying to gain control, get a sense of control, get things under control, get things from stop being out of control, if you're trying to do any of that stuff, then what it means is that you are cleaving to what you think you know about how it is, about who you are, about what you need, about what you know. It's like you can't, if your strategy is trying to get control of things, of life, of yourself, of your food, of whatever your pattern is, it's going to keep you stuck in the cycle. I just got this image of being like in the tumble dryer and just like continuing to press that button and be like, oh my gosh, here I go again. I'm just tumbling around in this thing. That's not very comfortable, and that gets really, really hot. So that is the first thing. I am so sorry to break it to you. If you're feeling a little bit called out or a little bit like, oh yeah, that's one of my patterns, just put control in the comments. I mean, come on. In fact, if every single person doesn't put control in the comments, then I think that we all have an opportunity to get more honest with ourselves, because all of us kind of slip back into this one. It's really, really covert, but we slip back into this one. Okay, so that's the first thing. And the second thing to do, and this is actually one way to completely eliminate that control thing. This is so big. It's so big. Is to take aligned action that scares you. To take aligned action that scares you. When I say, I don't just mean take action that scares you, oh, go jump out of a plane or blah, whatever, that maybe that doesn't scare you. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I've got no idea what you're talking about. Yep, totally. So aligned action that scares you. Here is the alchemy of what happens when you take aligned action that scares you. Hey, Michael, I'm so glad that you're here with us too. Is that when you are doing something that you know deep down is really what your soul is calling for. That's why I say aligned action, because it's got to line up with what your heart and your gut really, really knows is in your highest, but your head is I'm gonna die, because that's exactly what's going on, is that the mental construct that's living in the current paradigm is about to die, and it's freaking out. And you'll get anxious, and you'll get nervous, and you'll get scared, and you'll start to create these stories, and you'll start to create these excuses, and start to create these reasons why you just can't do it right now, why just now is not the right time, and you're going to do it tomorrow, you're going to do it on Monday, you're going to do it next week, just not now. That is what happens when you really, really get honest with yourself about what is that aligned action that's calling to me. Am I being called to get free from my addictive patterns for once and for all? Am I being called to get free from the food? Am I being called to put myself out there and actually help more people? Am I being called to shine my light? Am I being called to connect more authentically with others? What is the aligned thing that is actually calling me deep inside? Am I being called to live my purpose and to stop kind of dawdling and or showing up to a job that I don't feel like is really my calling? What's that aligned calling deep inside of me? And when you take action, that action is always, when you take action on something that is a deep aligned action. And let me tell you, oftentimes doing a Facebook Live is an aligned action for me. And I wake up in the morning and I'm like, yeah, I think I need to sleep in right now, I mean, there's so many times where it's it just sounds like a good idea to not do that thing. I super, super get it. But when something intimidates you or when something scares you, that is a sign, not that you shouldn't do it. It's a sign that it lies outside of your known world, which is a really exciting thing. Because if you are willing to take that action in spite of your fear, and every single woman who is in the academy, if you're listening to this right now, you already did that just by saying yes to the academy. Everybody was like, ah, I'm super scared. And you did it anyway. And when you do that, you blast through a threshold. You just do whatever that is. You blast through a threshold because that mental construct that is living in your current paradigm, it dies, it perishes. Because it's like, you've just said, no, I'm not gonna let you hold me back. I'm not gonna let you hold me down. I know that there is a more expansive experience for me to have in this life with who I am, with who I get to be, with how I'm contributing, with how I'm showing up, with how I'm interacting with people in the world. And I refuse to let the current paradigm own me. I refuse to let it own me. And so I'm going to take aligned empowered action, even if it scares me. This is like a golden tool, a golden secret that if you can do this every single day in a different way, you will blast through your blocks like nobody's business. And sabotage patterns will become a thing of the past. I mean, this is just what I find. This is my experience. Every time I'm like, I'm scared to do something, I'm like, oh shoot, this means that I've got to go do it. So I call it, I've got one of my best friends, we coined this term a couple years ago and I just love it. It's called the puke factor. Like if something is like, you have this idea that you want to do and then all of a sudden it makes you want to puke to think about doing it, then you've got to do it. It's not a sign that you don't do it. It's a sign that you actually need to do it. So, so this brings me to number 4, which is like pulls it all together. And that is this, is that in order to be able to blast through your threshold, in order to be able to do that, you need to be willing to ask for help. You need to be willing. Here's the thing, is that if you are living in your current paradigm, which you've already identified that you are, and your current paradigm is filled with your known world and your known reality and all the things you think you know and all the things that you think you need to do and how you think it is, it's like each one of us needs the perspective that comes from outside of that. We all need it. And so when I say ask for help, we can ask for divine help, because I can tell you right now that divine truth lies outside of your current paradigm. There's an exercise that I do with the ladies in the academy that's called your paradigm or the divine. Like, are you really living in the world in the truth of the divine, or are you living in your paradigm? It's really important to get this. And sometimes we think that we're living in the world of divine truth because we have a lot of spiritual beliefs, but we're blocked from access. That's why the deeper work is to really get free of the things that are blocking you so you can regain access to that divine truth and fully embody it. Hence the Freedom Embodied Academy, but we'll get to that in just a moment. But so asking for help, it's not even an or, it's an and the help of a mentor. And, in my experience, I have 3 mentors right now. So, I think if you have a mentor, fantastic. Here's the thing, is that in my experience, I don't know what I don't know. And I have blind spots all the time. And I can't tell you how many times I've come to a mentor and I've said, okay, I need help knowing how to do this thing. I need help. I need to know what the strategy is in order to do this. This is my goal, and I need you to help me, figure out how to do this. And my mentor will be like, that's not even the direction that's going to best work for you. Like, that's not even what your mind has just tried to figure out, and what you're trying to wrap your head around isn't even what is going to get you to where you want to be. In fact, let's just step out of that entire paradigm entirely, set that whole thing aside, and why don't you actually do this one small thing over here? Because that isn't going to get you to where you want to be. And it blows my mind all the time. It blows my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so true. And so it's so important, at least I believe, to get the support, to get the help. And in order to do that, we have to be willing to ask for it. There is something that is so humbling about asking for help. And if you're willing to do that already, that is putting you on a whole other level of willingness that is already putting you on the path, on the trajectory of the very freedom that you want. So Catherine, I'm so glad that you're here. So these are the 4 things. And if you are like, I've got trouble getting out of control. I've got trouble getting out of control. I don't even know what my current paradigm is. I don't know how to get past it, Deb. I'm afraid of taking action. That's why I'm sabotaging in the first place. I know that I shouldn't be doing this work, staying at this job that doesn't work. I know that I shouldn't be staying in this relationship. I know that that friendship's not healthy for me. I know that this pattern, I know that what I'm doing isn't healthy, but I am so scared. I am so scared. If you're struggling with something like that, then please let me help you. Please let me help you. If you are resonating with what we were talking about here and you feel like you are ready actually to ask for help, then please, if you feel a resonance with what I'm sharing, let me help you. Set up some time on my calendar. I will give you 15 minutes of free time, completely complimentary, because I want to support you with wherever you're at. Whether you're fit to dive deeper with me or not, I want to support you with wherever you're at. If that resonates for you, then just go to getsupport.today and grab a spot on my calendar and let me help you move beyond wherever you are right now. Move past, get a distinction to allow you to move past that threshold so that you can ultimately come back to a place of freedom. And when I say come back to a place, some people are like, Deb, I've never experienced freedom. I can guarantee you that like when you were probably like 3 years old, there was a time in your life, there was a part in your life where you just felt fully expressed, where you were just able to be authentically you. I mean, like there was a time in your life, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, there was a time in your life where like you weren't super self-conscious. There is an experience that we have, and it's about returning back to that state of joy, returning back to that state of authentic expression where you're just okay no matter what, where you're not too much of what you're not supposed to be or not enough of what you're not supposed to be, where you're just okay just as you are. And what are we wanting freedom for if not for that? To just be able to be comfortable being ourselves and to be able to connect authentically with others. So I hope that was helpful for you today. It was certainly fun to be here with you. I would love to know which one of those things, recognizing that you are living in your current paradigm, recognizing that your way of doing things is not working, launching beyond your pattern, launching out of that paradigm, and doing that by releasing control, and by taking empowered, aligned, authentic action that scares you and asking for help. Which one of those things do you resonate with the most? Which one do you resonate with the most? And which one are you going to take action on today? And then I invite you to take action on that thing today. Today. Why not? Why wait for tomorrow? Do it today. And then post in this thread and share with us what you did, okay? I am signing off for now, sending you so much love. Bye-bye. Mwah.